Doot 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 doot. Hi everyone. Welcome to today's stream. Hello, today's first traveler, Miko. Howdy, howdy, howdy. I hope you guys are all enjoying your Monday so far. I have a story for you guys, but we're actually on part 2. So if you guys are missing context, I will do my best to summarize thus far. But before that, let me go on ahead and greet everyone. The title. Oh, I forgot my fucking title again. What do I do? What do I do with this? Ah! I'm fine. How are you guys? Oh, right. So, anyway, we have our VIPs for both Sunny team and Rainy team, and they're exactly the same as last month. So, woo! Let's go! It's Bergie and DJ! If the VIPs would love to DM me their gear of choice, feel free. However, I do know Bergie had an idea of his where he wanted to give out his idea, or his gear thing. So let me know. Let me know what you like, Bergie. 日本語だ。こんにちは。日本人ですか？来てくれて本当にありがとうございました。Patch, patch, patch, thank you for your claps. What was I doing? Bergie's my spirit animal. Oh my god! Actually, really, really cool guy. His logs have all been a pleasant read, and... Oh, I remember what I was doing. I was gonna change my fucking title! Chotomate. Thank you for changing the game. I'm so sad. Okay, hi, Cobalt. Yes, I shall stretch and drink water. Hi, Yomi. Hi, Cindy. When will you learn, Vespy, that your actions have consequences? Okay. Hello, how you doing on this fine Monday? Cindy, ooh. Run away, Nomi is here. Quick, scatter. She's only over there on Twitch, okay? You're safe over there on the YouTubes. Oops, I copied the wrong thing. Copy. Are? Doko? Nomi can't hurt me here yet. Nomi, don't look. I didn't know reading and writing was a fucking category. Okay. Are these done? Did I fix it, guys? Is the title changed for you? May you refresh? I love these stream avatars. Thank you! No! Stop! Nobody's over there! Scatter! It's time to come back over to Twitch, guys. Yep, thank you! I'll get it right one of these days. It is pretty new. As a former writer, I have knowledge of these things. Oh, sick, nice. The YouTube stuff does not transfer over, it seems. That's so sad. But right. Oh wait, Bergie's here. Bergie, did you say something about the reward? How would you like the reward? What gear would you like, sir? Bestow upon us your next demand. Bergie had actually asked for the mask last month, and DJ asked for the glasses. So I wonder what they're gonna say. If you wanted to do... Yeah, so the run-ups I wanted to actually mention. So besides Bergie and DJ, the next follow-ups... Do I have to... Here, let me... I have it all on a sticky note. You guys did amazing. And JQ did so many logs. Same with Katsu. I was really impressed when I logged it all. I'm like, oh my god, people are participating. Not that I haven't been paying attention, but it's just been really... It's been a really busy month, honestly. In ranked rivals, wow. Oh, no problem. Take your time. I'm just chatting. So the total tavern points I had counted from February to now which is only 24 days. But this time I'm gonna try doing. I'm only gonna do resets every now. I'm gonna only do resets every Tavern Folk talk. So Tavern Folk talks are really important to happen on my end. That's a good pressure on me so that I can make sure to reset every month. You know. When you say gear, what are you referring to again? Oh, no worries, Cindy. So on the stream avatars, there are things you can equip onto your stream avatar. By itself, you are just a white clothed Terra Bozu with a brown bandana, but you can change the color, you can add a mask or glasses, and you can even add a little emblem. Those little things that you add on to the base model are what stream avatars refers to as gear. So I personally made those masks and glasses. Well, just everything, actually. I made everything. I am so happy. This is probably one of my best creations that I've done on the spur of the moment. Like for the time and effort I put into stream avatar, the stream avatar stuff, it's so cute and everyone likes it. How do you get tavern points? Lovely question, Cindy. So actually, you had already gotten some from participating in the Tavern Folk Talks and doing by checking in, you get tavern points, and you also can have different points from when you ask questions during small talks, which will happen next month. So we'll still be able to gather points. Also there's the traveler logs. If you've noticed, Bergie has 47 points. He actually only logged like 11 check-ins, but he had 34 points from just logging. So honestly, I was really trying to incentivize folks to log more than check-in, but we actually had a lot more rainy check-ins that beat the sunny logs, because in log power, sunny team is winning like by a landslide. But the logs on the rainy are just a tiny bit, you know, a little bit less active. But Bergie's just a demon. He logs almost every day. Oh, what a madman! I'm in honor. I really want to get to a point where maybe I can do something just a little bit every day. I feel like it's trying to, you know, be a thing. How do you log? So you in the traveler log category on the Discord, I have all the information there, but I would love to make a video one day that actually summarizes it in like 30 seconds for raids or for questions like this, you know, that are like, oh, what is it? There's also a panel that details on it a little. Unfortunately, because of the system is being developed as we're going on. So you're making history, guys. Thank you for being my guinea pigs. But this is going on to our 3rd month of the Tavern Point system. This all started on the 1st of this year. So it was really, oh man, I saw in a bunch of streams, there was a lot of cool ways streamers get chats to, or just build a community. And building a community is a lot having to do with building an identity. An identity for your community. And so based off of my lore, I try to make the most logical community names and teams or groups that would be around my lore. And yeah, so that's what created the Travelers, which is the Terra Bozu doll that you guys see on the bottom of your screen. If you guys aren't weebs like I am, the Terra Bozu doll is actually a Japanese charm that is culturally said to bring sunny days or hope. It's like a charm for sunny days. However, if you turn it upside down and hang it upside down, it's actually called a Fure Bozu, and it is a charm for rainy days instead. So that's why I came up with the team names Sunny and Rainy. So I can log my hobbies? Yes, that's exactly the point! I want to know what you guys are up to! You guys get more points too if you show pictures. You get more points if you do stuff with other people. Technically, because Bergie drew fan art of other travelers, he should have gotten double the points. But I'm so stupid with my system. I have cleaned it up now, and everything is just 1 point. I had made it previously. If you drew art of another traveler, you would get double the points, but it's like I'm bad at numbers. Let's just make everything 1. Welcome home, Grizzly!
Thank you.
Sorry, I love you. Can I have the iPhone charger? Grimps is gonna go work out with his nephew, I think, in a little bit. I always knew you were really dark and freaking Vespy and just what? Have I created such a beast? I'm glad you guys think that's interesting. Like in terms of community building too, it helps to have stuff to look forward to. So I was like, okay, what can I do? What's something I could do every month? And I'm like, I like talking to people, and I already do like interviews. So why don't I interview my community every once in a while? And that's why there's Tavern Folk Talks now. And I didn't know how to incentivize Tavern Folk Talks, so I'm like, let's make points and make everything a point system because everyone likes seeing that number go up, right? Every time you guys see that number go up, don't you get a little more fired up? Look at this shit. Last month, we only saw the first time we've hit like 200 points. Wait, where's my board? You liar! Hold on. I thought that triggered my board to pop up. For why did you not pop up? Well, anyway, the board is supposed to pop up, but usually our points are pretty even. Last month, Rainy Team had double the amount of Sunny, and so hopefully this month we can see a little bit more of an equal distribution. There will definitely be less streams, so I'm expecting some logs. All right. So sorry for asking so many questions, but how do you check points? I love you, Cindy. Please ask all the questions. You are like the prime chatter right now for every streamer that's ever created anything. Like, yes, ask questions. We need to explain, because if you don't ask questions, people are just gonna not ask and then not do anything. But, okay. Anyway. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, I love you.
I love you too. Have fun.
Okay, right. So, I think counter works. If you guys type exclamation point counter, I've created that. No, it doesn't do the rainy counter. I'm a fucking liar. You can ignore me. The counter anyway would have only counted your total points that you've checked in, because I don't know yet how to reset that on its own. At least every month, right? So I have to create a way to. Wow, you checked it 25 times, Bergie. Yeah, it would tell you how many times you've checked in, but I can't tell you between like the teams how many times you've checked in. Also, I'm kind of a little silly with some of the counters. The number or some of the naming isn't consistent across counter commands, so it might not count right. I need to fix that. Yeah, see, I don't know why it says you've only fished 0 times. Have you really? No, me. If you do an exclamation point fish and then you do the fish. See, I feel like you've definitely fished more than once, Leru. And Vigo, right? Oh, hi, Yui. Thank you for showing up on YouTube. The counter might have a little bit of a hiccup if you guys do it all at once. Yeah, I need to fix that counter, but let's not get too caught up with that. I forgot where I am. I need to do my story. So let's see. I need to talk about A Court of Thorns and Roses. So this book is described to me as a romantasy, which is a new term I've never heard of, which is a fantasy romance fiction. We read the first 4 chapters over the weekend, and so now we are here reading chapter 5. I ended our reading stream with tears because I fucking hate the main character's family. So let me do my best to summarize. So we are reading from the point of view of a girl named Farah, who is the daughter of a once rich, now poor family. She is the breadwinner of this now really, really impoverished family, and she has to go out and hunt shit. But all of her family, being once rich people, have no appreciation for hard work. So they often are taking advantage of her like hard efforts to keep the family alive and fed, and also she like fucks the rich town boy in the barn. His name is Isaac. Apparently there's no love, So it's like friends with benefits. So that's our only romance interaction so far. Oh yeah, so during one of our hunts, being Farah, we encounter a wolf, and this is when we learn about the history of why you shouldn't just kill things off the bat. So she sees this wolf and she's like, this wolf seems a little odd. It might be one of those creatures that my entire race used to be enslaved to, and killing this creature that might be this being that we used to be enslaved to could be really, really, I don't know, could get me in trouble, but fuck it, they also enslaved my people, so if I kill them, fuck them too. So she shot the arrow, killed the wolf, skinned the wolf, sold the pelt, and then the night she sold the pelt, she gets bombarded with a really angry wolf that broke down her door and threatened like her entire family, saying like, you know, that wolf you killed was indeed that ancient race that you had been so afraid of. So we have laws, and laws dictate that you must come with me or die now. Obviously, the main character wanted to fucking die, but her dad stepped in and said, Farah, you're too good for us. You must go beyond the human realm and live with the fairies because you deserve better than whatever life we gave you. And then he made her swear to never come back. Really, really fucking crazy shit. I just... Wow. I can't wait to come visit this place again and everyone's like redeemed somehow. I don't know. That's just kind of how it works, isn't it? But I think that's where we are. So we have left with this mysterious fairy guy whose friend we skinned. It's not alive. We killed the wolf. Oh, you know what? Actually, do you guys see on the book? I think that's the wolf we killed. I ignore the difference of skin color, but yeah, the cover of this book might actually, yep, that's probably where it all started. It even has like the little arrow that she like shot the wolf down with. Oh no, it's a lichen, and this is going to get furry. Where did this come from? Vivisection is cool, though not here. Not when it's a potentially other humanoid creature. It gets a little what the fuck? Leru? Wait. Brain is a pool of bad ideas right now because of the heat. Oh no, no using heat. Nah, I'm just kidding. Why? Wait, I forgot you are in the other side of the world, so you're like experiencing different. Man, okay. Stay cool, stay hydrated. I have to say like the opposite shit right now that I feel. I'm freezing, and well, okay, today was actually pretty mild. Last week was freezing. Huh? Am I? Nah. It was just a slip of the words. Anyway, guys, let's go read chapter 5 now. So I think I did a pretty good summary. This is going to get a lot harder to summarize as I'm going to try to summarize from the beginning every time, right? It's so hot in my area this week. Yeah, this week really started off pretty spicy for us in the Midwest. I don't know where you are, Cindy, but man, oh man. I walked out and it was like birds chirping and it feels like spring and it's like, it's still February, please. One more snow. Can I just get one more snow? I live in my boss arena. Ah, okay. It's like your boss lair? Okay, wait. Is Bergie still at that Marvel Rivals game? Did you say what you needed, Bergie? Perhaps then we could just do this as an after stream conversation. I'm okay with either way though, but once I do get reading, I tend to hold off from reading chat and discussions until I'm done with the chapter. So, thank you guys for your time. We have ads starting in 5 minutes. If you guys get hit with ads, just go over to YouTube, alright? Haha. Okay. Last time I did a bunch of, sound effects to keep the immersion. So I will try to do that again this time. Woo. Sorry if it gets if the audio gets imbalanced, please try to keep me in check here. I have no idea how to tell how it is for you guys. Some freaks can monitor themselves while streaming. I cannot. So I just have to pray or regret. I forgot which one, which of your mods is a Dark Souls fan, but they get the reference. My mods, can bacon. I don't know. I don't know if Miga's a Dark Souls player. I know Lewu got your reference when he saw you appear on screen. I need to get into Dark Souls. Seer, tell me how to get into Dark Souls. I just keep the mixer window up on a second screen. That's a good idea. He's warming up next to the first flame. Yes, that means things to me. Okay, cool. Let me try to skim and see where the setting is so that we can get more immersed. Every step... Okay, so we are currently walking through a blizzard. So... we are no longer in the spring forest. Okay, so... we have been whisked away by our captor. Every step toward the line of trees was too swift, too light, too soon carrying me to whatever torment and misery awaited. I didn't dare look back at the cottage. We entered the line of trees. Darkness beckoned beyond. But a white mare was patiently waiting, unbound, beside a tree. Her coat like fresh snow in the moonlight. She only lowered her head, as if in respect of all things, as the beast lumbered up to her. He motioned with a giant paw for me to mount. Oh, right now our captor is in a furry mode. He's a giant. He's also like a big. Well, we don't really know what. I think she said that he looks like a wolf too. He motioned with a giant paw for me to mount. Still, the horse remained calm, even as he passed close enough to gut her in one swipe. It had been years since I'd ridden, and I'd only ridden a pony at that, but I savored the warmth of the horse against my half-frozen body as I climbed into the saddle and she set into a walk. Without light to guide me, I let her trail the beast. They were nearly the same size. I wasn't surprised when we headed northward, toward fairy territory, though my stomach clenched. This sentence breaks my mind. I wasn't surprised when we headed northward, toward fairy territory, though. Toward fairy territory. My stomach clenched so tightly it ached. Live with him. I could live out the rest of my mortal life on his lands. Perhaps this was merciful, but then he hadn't specified in what manner exactly I would live. The treaty forbade fairies from taking us as slaves, but perhaps that excluded humans who murdered fairies. Would likely go to whatever rift in the wall he'd used to get here, to steal me. And once we went through the invisible wall, once we were in Perithian, there's no way for my family to ever find me. I'd be little more than a lamb in a kingdom of wolves. Wolves. Wolf. Murdered a fairy. That was what I'd done. My throat went dry. I'd killed a fairy? I couldn't bring myself to feel badly about it. Not with my family left behind me to surely starve. Not when it meant one less wicked, awful creature in the world. The beast had burned my ash arrow, so I'd have to rely on luck to get even a splinter of the wood again, if I was to stand a chance of killing him, or slowing him down. Knowledge of that weakness, of their susceptibility to ash, was the only reason we'd ever survived against the High Fae during the ancient uprising, a secret betrayed by one of their own. My blood chilled further as I uselessly scanned for any signs of the narrow trunk and explosions of branches that I'd learned to mark to ash trees. I'd never seen the forest so still. Whatever was out there had to be tame compared to the beast beside me, despite the horse's ease around him. Hopefully, he would keep other fairies away after we entered his realm. Perithian. Prythian? I feel like I'm saying this word wrong. Prythian. The word was a death knell that echoed through me again and again. Lands? He'd said he had lands, but what kind of dwelling? My horse was beautiful, and its saddle was crafted of rich leather, which meant he had some sort of contact with civilized life. I'd never heard of the specifics of what the lives of fairies or high fae were like. Never heard much of anything other than their deadly abilities and appetites. I clenched the reins to keep my hands from shaking. There were few first-hand accounts of Prythian itself. The mortals who went over the wall, either willingly as tributes from the children of the blessed, or stolen, and never came back. I'd learned most of the legends from villagers, though my father had occasionally offered up a milder tale or two on the nights he made an attempt to remember we existed. As far as we knew, the high fae still governed the northern parts of our world, from our enormous island over the narrow sea separating us from the massive continent, across depthless fjords and frozen wastelands and sand-blasted deserts, all the way to the great ocean on the other side. Some fairy territories were empires, some were overseen by kings and queens. Then there were places like Prythian, divided and ruled by 7 high lords, beings of such unyielding power that legend claimed they could level buildings, break apart armies, and butcher you before you could blink. I didn't doubt it. No one had ever told me why humans chose to linger in our territory, even so little space had granted to us, and we remained in such close proximity to Prythian. Fools. Whatever humans had stayed here after the war must have been suicidal fools to live so close. Even with the centuries-old treaty between the mortal and fairy realms, there were rifts in the warded wall separating our lands, holes big enough for those lethal creatures to slip into our territory to amuse themselves with tormenting us. That was the side of Prythian that the children of the blessed never deigned to not acknowledge. Perhaps the side of Prythian I'd soon witness. My stomach turned. Live with him? I reminded myself again and again and again. Live, not die. Though I suppose I could also live in a dungeon. He would likely lock me up and forget I was there. Forget that humans needed things like food and water and warmth. Prowling ahead of me, the beast's horns spiraled towards the night sky, and tendrils of hot breath curled from his snout. We had to make camp at some point. The border of Prythian was days away. Once we stopped, I would keep awake for the entirety of the night and never let him out of my sight. Even though he'd burned my only ash arrow, I'd smuggled my remaining knife in my cloak. Maybe tonight could grant me an opportunity to use it. But it was not my own doom I contemplated as I let myself tumble into dread and rage and despair. As we rode on, the only sound snow crunching beneath paws and hooves. I alternated between a wretched smugness at the thought of my family starving and thus realizing how important I was, and a blinding agony at the thought of my father begging in the streets, his ruined leg giving out on him as he stumbled from person to person. Every time I looked at the beast, I could see my father limping through town, pleading for coppers to keep my sisters alive. Worse, what Nesta might resort to in order to keep Elaine alive? She wouldn't mind my father's death, but she would lie and steal and sell anything for Elaine's sake, and for her own as well. I took in the way the beast moved, trying to find any weakness. I could detect none. "What manner of fairy are you?" I asked, the words nearly swallowed up by the snow and trees and star-heavy sky. He didn't bother to Oh yeah, it's not that windy then, huh? Pause. How do I do this? Then is it just a wind? Oh, wait. Is there like a nighttime ambiance here? Fuck it! He didn't bother to turn around. He didn't bother to say anything at all. Fair enough. I'd kill his friend, after all. I tried again. Do you have a name? Or anything to curse him by? A huff of air could have been a bitter laugh. Does it even matter to you, human? I didn't answer. He might very well change his mind about sparing me. But perhaps I would escape before he decided to gut me. I would grab my family and we'd stow away on a ship and sail far, far away. Perhaps I would try to kill him, regardless of the futility, regardless of whether it constituted another unprovoked attack, just for being the one who came to claim my life. My life! When these fairies valued ours so little, the mercenary had survived. Maybe I could too. Maybe. I opened my mouth to ask him again for his name, but a growl of annoyance rippled out of him. I didn't have a chance to struggle, to fight back, when a charged metallic tang stung my nose. Exhaustion slammed down upon me, and blackness swallowed me whole. I awoke with a jolt atop the horse, secured by invisible bonds. The sun was already high. Okay, we're in the sun now. All right, buddy. Okay, the sun. Well then. There is a sunny disposition somewhere, perhaps. Perhaps we're just going through a calm night now. There is probably not a cricket out in the woods. of the wintry woods, but fuck it. Magic. That's what that tang had been. What was keeping my limbs tucked in tight, preventing me from going for my knife. I recognized the power deep in my bones, from some collective mortal memory. Oh, the sun's high. Fuck it, we'll just be quiet now. I recognized the power deep in my bones, from some collective mortal memory and terror. How long had it kept me unconscious? How long had he kept me unconscious, rather than have to speak to me? Gritting my teeth, I might have demanded answers from him, might have shouted to where he still lumbered ahead, heedless of me, but then chirping birds flitted past me, and a mild breeze kissed my face. I spied a hedge-bordered metal gate ahead? My prison or my salvation, I really couldn't decide which. 2 days. It took 2 days from my cottage to reach the wall and enter the southernmost border of Prithian? Had I been held in an enchanted sleep for that long? Bastard! The gate swung open without porter or sentry, and the beast continued through. Whether I wanted to or not, my horse followed after him. Okay, cool. A little unfriendly, but warranted. We did kill someone of his that he liked, probably. I have a lot of worries here. There's a lot of tension right off the bat. And it's like, if he so much says that this is like his brother or something, and they're obviously... Oh my god, what if this is someone that is... It's just... This is obviously the love interest, isn't it? Isn't it? Or maybe this is like the secondary love interest. Who is this guy? I was under the impression like, okay, obviously we have already met the love of Farrah's life. Maybe? Oh, I'm so curious. So we are no longer in a snowy place. There's birds and a hedge. So I'm gonna go on ahead and keep the little spring forest ambiance we have here. But I'm curious to see what's gonna go on now. Let me get some water really quick before I move on. Oh shit, wait. Let me go on ahead too. And charge the iPhone. Hello, Dread! Welcome! Long time no see! And hello, Lexi! Welcome back! Nice to see you! 7 High Lords of Unyielding Power. That is some dope lore! Really? You think so? Let's I wonder if we're gonna fight them. This is a this is a book series. On YouTube, I've linked the Goodreads stuff, but I just haven't read an honest romance fantasy novel in a long time. So I'm so excited to learn more about like fate. I feel like a lot of books try to pull at least from like different mythologies containing fairies. So maybe I'll learn more about some folklore. What does my newscast update say? Let me read this. Newscast update from... Newscast update from Vesper's realm. The chat's buzzing with tavern tips and point queries as newcomers like Psy Lord of Cinder dive into the lore. Citrus praises Vespy's system while the board gets stage fright. It's true! That thing didn't fucking come out! Legendary fish are caught and sussy banter flows! Larry Senpai's words take a wild turn as the heat rises, so do Dark Souls references. Stay tuned for more adventures beyond the wall! Oh my god, that's so cool that they said that! Yes, we are beyond the wall! Hype, 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 hype! I wish it was more mainstream romance fantasy! Maybe you should just write it! Write it, Cindy! Or maybe I will. Fuck it. Okay. Let's get moving. I want to get going. The estate sprawled across a rolling green land. I'd never seen anything like it. Even our former manor couldn't compare. It was veiled in roses and ivy, with patios and balconies and staircases sprouting from its alabaster sides. The grounds were encased by woods, but stretched so far that I could barely see the distant line of the forest. So much color, so much sunlight and movement and texture. I could hardly drink it in fast enough. To paint it would be useless, would never do it justice. My awe might have subdued my fear had the place not been so wholly empty and silent. Even the garden through which we walked, following a gravel path to the main doors of the house, seemed hushed and sleeping. Above the array of amethyst irises and pale snowdrops and butter-yellow daffodils swaying in the balmy breeze, the faint stench of metal tickled my nostrils. Of course it would be magic, because it was spring here. What wretched power did they possess to make their land so different from ours? To control the seasons and weather as if they owned them? Sweat trickled down my spine as layers of clothes turned suffocating. I rotated my wrists and shifted in the saddle. Whatever bonds had held me were gone. The ferry meandered on ahead, leaping nimbly up the grand marble staircase that had led to the giant oak doors in one mighty, fluid movement. The door swung open for him on silent hinges, and he prowled inside. He'd planned this entire arrival, no doubt, keeping me unconscious so I didn't know where I was, didn't know the way home or what other deadly fairy territories might be lurking between me and the wall. I felt for my knife, but only found layers of frayed clothes. The thought of those claws pawing through my cloak to find my knife made my mouth go dry. I shoved away the fury and I thought she was like, I shoved away the furry. Oh god. I shoved away the fury and terror and disgust as my horse came to a stop of her own accord at the foot of the stairs. The message was clear enough. The towering estate house seemed to be watching, waiting. I glanced over my shoulder toward the still open gates. If I were to bolt, it would have to be now. South. All I had to do was go south, and I would eventually make it to the wall. If I didn't encounter anything before then. I tugged on the reins, but the mare remained stationary, even as I dug my heels into her sides. I let out a low, sharp hiss. Fine. On foot. My knees buckled as I hit the ground, bits of light flashing in my vision. I grasped the saddle and winced as soreness and hunger racked my senses. Now. I had to go now. I made to move, but the world was still spinning and flashing. Only a fool would run with no food, no strength. I wouldn't get a half a mile like this. I wouldn't get half a mile before he caught me and tore me to ribbons, as he'd promised. I took a long, shuddering breath. Food. Getting food. Then running. At the next opportune moment. It sounded like a solid plan. When I was steady enough to walk, I left the horse at the bottom of the stairs, taking the steps one at a time, my breath tight in my chest. I passed through the open doors and into the shadows of the house. Inside, it was even more opulent. Black and white checkered marble shone at my feet, flowing to countless doors and a sweeping staircase. A long hall stretched ahead to the giant glass doors at the other end of the house, and through them I glimpsed a second garden, grander than the one out in front. No sign of a dungeon, no shouts or pleas rising from hidden chambers below. No, just the low growl from a nearby room, so deep that it rattled the vases overflowing with fat clusters of hydrangea atop of the scattered hall tables. Atop the scattered hall tables. As if in response, an open set of polished wooden doors swung wider to my left, a command to follow. My fingers shook as I rubbed my eyes. I'd known the High Fae had once built themselves palaces and temples around the world, buildings that my mortal ancestors had destroyed after the war out of spite. But I'd never considered how they might live today, the elegance and wealth they might possess. Never contemplated that fairies, these feral monsters, might own estates grander than any mortal dwelling. I tensed as I entered the room. A long table, longer than we'd ever possessed at our manor, filled most of the space. It was laden with food and wine. So much food, so much of it wafting tendrils of steam that my mouth watered. At least it was familiar, and not some strange fairy delicacy. Chicken, bread, peas, fish, asparagus, lamb. It could have been a feast at any mortal manor. Another surprise. The beast padded to the oversized chair at the head of the table. I lingered by the threshold, gazing at the food. All that hot, glorious food that I couldn't eat. That was the first rule we were taught as children, usually in songs or chants. If misfortune forced you to keep company with a fairy, you never drank their wine, never ate their food. Ever. Unless you wanted to wind up enslaved to them in mind and soul. Unless you wanted to wind up dragged back to Prithian. Well, the second part had already happened, but I might stand a chance at avoiding the first. The beast plopped into the chair, the wood groaning, and, in a flash of white light, turned into a golden-haired man. I stifled a cry and pushed myself against the paneled wall beside the door, feeling the molding for the threshold, trying to gauge the distance between me and escape. This beast was not a man, not a lesser fairy. He was one of the High Fae, one of the ruling nobility. Beautiful, lethal, and merciless. He was young, or at least what I could see of his face seemed young. His nose, cheeks, and brows were covered by an exquisite gold mask, embedded with emeralds. Stop it. Pause. I know where this is going. He was young, or at least what I could see of his face seemed young. His nose, cheeks, and brows were covered by an exquisite gold mask embedded with emeralds shaped like whorls of leaves. Some absurd High Fae fashion, no doubt. It only left his eyes, looking the same as they had in his beast form. Strong jaw and mouth for me to see, and the latter tightened into a thin line. Okay, that's enough. You should eat something, he said. Unlike the elegance of his mask, the dark green tunic he wore was rather plain, accented only by with a leather baldric across his broad chest. It was more for fighting than style, even though he bore no weapons I could detect, not just one of the High Fae, but a warrior too. I didn't want to consider what might require him to wear a warrior's attire and tried not to look too hard at the leather of the baldric gleaming in the sunlight, streaming in through the bank of windows behind him. I hadn't seen a cloudless sky like that in months. He filled a glass of wine from an exquisitely cut clyster decanter and drank deeply, as if he needed it. I inched toward the door, my heart beating fast. Oh wait, I got this. My heart beating fast. Oh, I fucking lost my spot. Okay, my heart beating so fast, I thought I'd vomit. The cool metal of the door's hinges bit into my fingers. If I'd move fast, I could be out of the house and sprinting for the gate within seconds. He was undoubtedly faster, but chucking some of those pretty pieces of hallway furniture in his path might slow him down. Though his fey ears, with their delicate pointed arches, would pick up any whisper of movement from me. "Who are you?" I managed to say. His light golden hair was so similar to the color of his beast form's pelt. Those giant claws undoubtedly still lurked just below the surface of his skin. "Sit." Oh wait, "Sit," he said gruffly, waving a broad hand to encompass the table. "Eat." I ran through the chants in my head again and again. Not worth it. Easing my ravenous hunger was definitely not worth the risk of being enslaved to him in mind and soul. He let out a growl. "Unless you'd rather faint?" "It's not safe for humans," I managed to say. "Offense be damned." He huffed a laugh. "Oh, says more feral than anything. How do you let out a laugh?" "The food is fine for you to eat, human." Those strange green eyes pinned me to the spot, as if he could detect every muscle in my body that was primming to bolt. "Leave if you want," he added with a flash of teeth. "I'm not your jailer. The gate's open. You can live anywhere in Prithian, and no doubt be eaten or tormented by a wretched fairy. But while every inch of this place was civilized and clean and beautiful, I had to get out. I had to get back. That promise to my mother, cold and vain as she was all I had. I had no move toward the food. Oh, no. I made no move toward the food. "Fine," he said, the word laced with a growl, and began serving himself. I didn't seem to face the consequences of refusing him another time, as someone strode past me, heading right for the head of the table. "Well," the stranger said, "another High Fae, red-haired and finely dressed in a tunic of muted silver." He, too, wore a mask. He sketched a bow to the seated male, and then crossed his arms. Somehow, he hadn't spotted me when I was still pressed against the wall. "Well, what?" My captor cocked his head, the movement more animal than human. "Is Andrews dead, then?" A nod from my captor. Savior, whatever he was. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "How?" I don't know how to differentiate between these two people." "How?" the stranger demanded, his knuckles white as he gripped his muscled arms. "An ash arrow," said the other. His red-haired companion hissed. "The treaty's summons led me to the mortal. Oh! His red-haired companion hissed. So this is him talking. Okay. "The treaty's summon led me to the mortal. I gave her safe haven." A girl! A mortal girl actually killed Andras? Not a question so much as venom-coated... Wait. Not a question so much as a venom-coated string of words. He glanced at the end of the table where my empty chair stood. And the summons found the girl responsible. The golden masked one gave a low, bitter laugh and pointed at me. The treaty's magic brought me right to her doorstep. The stranger whirled with fluid grace. His mask was bronze and fashioned after a fox's features, concealing all but the lower half of his face, along with the most of what looked like a wicked, slashing scar from his brow down to his jaw. It didn't hide the eye that was missing, or the carved golden orb that had replaced it, and moved as though he could use it. It fixed on me. Even from across the room, I could see his remaining russet eye widen. He sniffled once, his lips curling a bit to reveal straight white teeth, and then he turned to the other fairy. "You're joking!" "Wait, you're joking," he said quietly. "That scrawny thing brought down Andras with a single ash arrow? Bastard! An absolute bastard! A pity I didn't have the arrow now so I could shoot him instead." "She admitted to it," the golden-haired one said tightly, tracing the rim of his goblet with a finger. A long, lethal claw slid out, scraping against the metal. I fought to keep my breath steady. Especially as he added, "She didn't try to deny it." The fox-masked fairy sank into the edge of the table, the light catching in his long, fire-red hair. I could understand his mask, with the brutal scar and eye missing, but the other high face seemed fine. Perhaps he wore it out of solidarity. Maybe that explained the absurd fashion. "Well," the red-haired one seethed, "now we're stuck with that, thanks to your useless mercy, and you've ruined..." I stepped forward. Only a step. I wasn't sure what I was going to say, but being spoken about that way... I kept my mouth shut, but it was enough. "Did you enjoy killing my friend, human?" the red-haired one said. "Did you hesitate, or was the hatred in your heart riding you too hard to consider sparing him? It must have been so satisfying for a small mortal thing like you to take him down." The golden-haired one said nothing, but his jaw tightened. As they studied me, I reached for a knife that wasn't there. "Anyway," the fox-masked one continued, facing his companion again with a sneer. He would likely laugh if I ever drew a weapon on him. "Perhaps there's a way to..." "Lucian," my captor said quietly, the name echoing with a hint of a snarl. "Behave." Lucian went rigid, but he hopped off the edge of the table and bowed deeply to me. "My apologies, lady." Another joke at my expense. "I'm Lucian, courtier and emissary." He gestured to me with a flourish. "Your eyes are like stars and your hair like burnished gold." He cocked his head, waiting for me to give him my name, but telling him anything about me and my family or where I came from. "Her name is Farah," said the one in charge. The beast. He must have learned my name at the cottage. Those striking green eyes met mine again, and then flicked to the door. "Alice will take you to your room. You could use a bath and fresh clothes." I couldn't decide whether it was an insult or not. There was a firm hand at my elbow, and I flinched. A rotund, brown-haired woman in a simple brass bird mask tugged on my arm and inclined her head toward the open door behind us. Her white apron was crisp above her homespun brown dress. A servant. The masks had to be some sort of trend then. If they cared so much about their clothes, about what even their servants wore, maybe they were shallow and vain enough for me to deceive, despite their master's warrior clothes. Still, they were high fae. I would have to be clever and quiet and bide my time until I could escape. So I let Alice lead me so I let Alice lead me away. Room? Not cell. A small relief then. I'd barely made it a few steps before Lucien growled. That's the hand the cauldron thought to deal us. She brought Andres down. We never should have sent him out there. None of them should have... Oh god, this guy's mad. Okay, hold on. Let me get my voice settled. That's the hand the cauldron thought to deal us. She brought Andres down. We should have never sent him out there. None of them should have been out there. It was a fool's mission. His growl was more bitter than threatening. Could he shapeshift as well? Oh! It was the other guy that said that, not Lucien. Wait, that is Lucien. That is Lucien. Oh, okay. Could he shapeshift as well? Why did you ask that? Of course he can. Wait, Lucien is the red-haired guy, not the fucking... Okay, we still don't know the name of the golden-haired guy. Okay, my bad. I'm giving Lucien kind of like a... Oh, I am all that. That's the hand the cauldron thought to deal us. She brought Andres down. We never should have sent him out there. None of them should have been out there. It was a fool's mission. His growl is more bitter than threatening. Could he shapeshift as well? Maybe we should just take a stand. Maybe it's time to say enough. Dump the girl somewhere. Kill her. I don't care. She's nothing but a burden here. She'd sooner put a knife in your back than talk to you or any of us. I kept my breathing calm, my spine locking, and... No. The other bit out. Not until we know for... Oh, wait. Oh, no, it's him. I'm the guy. No, the other bit out. Not until we know for certain that there's no other way we will make a move. And as for the girl, she stays unharmed. End of discussion. Her life in that hovel was hell enough. My cheeks heated, even while I loosed a tight breath, and I avoided looking at Alice as I felt her eyes slide to me. A hovel? I suppose that's what her cottage was when compared to this palace. Then you've got your work cut out for you, old son, Lucien said. I'm sure her life will be a fine replacement for Andres's. Maybe she can even train with the others on the border. A snarl of irritation resonated through the air. The shining, spotless halls swallowed me up before I could hear more. Alice led me through halls of gold and silver until we came to a lavish bedroom on the second level. I'll admit, I didn't fight that hard when Alice and two other servants, also masked, bathed me, cut my hair, then plucked me until I felt like a chicken being prepared for dinner. For all I knew, I might very well be their next meal. It was only the high-faced promise to live out my days in Prythian instead of dying that kept me from being sick at the thought. While these fairies also looked human, save for their ears, I'd never learned what the high fae called their servants. But I didn't dare ask, or to speak to them at all, not when just having their hands on me, having them so close was enough to make me focus slowly on not trembling. Still, I took one look at the velvet turquoise dress Alice had placed on the bed and wrapped my white dressing gown tightly around me, sinking into a chair and pleading for my old clothes to be returned. Alice refused, and when I begged again, trying my best to sound pathetic and sad and pitiful, she stormed out. I hadn't worn a dress in years. I wasn't about to start, not when escape was my main priority. I wouldn't be able to move freely in a gown. Bundled in my robe, I sat for minute after minute. The chattering of small birds in the garden beyond the windows. The chattering of small birds in the garden beyond the windows, the only sounds. No screaming, no clashing weapons, no hint of slaughter or torture. The bedroom was larger than our entire cottage. Its walls were pale green, delicately sketched with patterns of gold, and the moldings were golden as well. I might have thought it tacky, but the ivory furniture and rugs not... I might have thought it tacky had the ivory furniture and rugs not complemented it so well. The gigantic bed was of a similar color scheme, and the curtains that hung from the towering headboard drifted into the faint breeze from the open windows. My dressing gown was of the finest silk, edged with lace, simple and exquisite enough that I ran a finger along the lapels. The lapels? Lapels? The few stories I'd had heard been wrong. Or 500... The few stories I'd heard had been wrong. Or 500 years of separation had muddled them. Yes, I was still prey, still born weak and useless compared to them. But this place was... peaceful. Calm. Unless that was an illusion too. And the loophole in the treaty was a lie. A trick to set me at ease before they destroyed me. The High Fae like to play with their food. The door creaked, and Alice returned, a bundle of clothing in her hands. She lifted a sodden grayish shirt. "You want to wear this?" I gaped at the holes in the sides and sleeves. It fell apart the moment the laundresses put it in the water. She held up a few scraps of brown. "Here's what's left of your pants." I clamped down on the curse building in my chest. She might be a servant, but she could easily kill me too. "Will you wear the dress now?" she demanded. I knew I should get up and agree, but I slumped farther into my seat. Alice stared down for a moment before leaving again. She returned with trousers and a tunic that fit me well, both of them rich with color. A bit fancy, but I didn't complain when I donned the white shirt, nor when I buttoned the dark blue tunic and ran my hands over the scratchy gold thread embroidered on the lapels. I don't know how to say that word. It had to cost a fortune in itself, and it tugged at that useless part of my mind that admired lovely and strange and colorful things. I was too young to remember much before my father's downfall. He tolerated me enough to allow me to loiter around his offices, and sometimes even explained various goods and their worth, and the details of which I'd long since forgotten. My time in his offices, full of the scents of exotic spices and the music of foreign tongues, made up the majority of my few happy memories. I didn't need to know the worth of everything in this room to understand that the emerald curtains alone, silk with gold velvet, could have fed us for a lifetime. A chill scuttled down my spine. It had been days since I'd left. The venison would be running low already. Alice herded me into a low-backed chair before the darkened fireplace, and I didn't fight back as she ran a comb through my hair and began braiding it. You're hardly more than skin and bones," she said, her fingers luxurious against my scalp. "Winter does that to poor mortals," I said, fighting to keep the sharpness from my tone. She huffed a laugh. "If you're wise, you'll keep your mouth shut and your ears open. It'll do you more good here than a loose tongue. And keep your wits about you. Even your senses will try to betray you here." I tried not to cringe at the warning. Alice went on. "Some folk are bound to be upset about Andres. Yet if you ask me, Andres was a good sentinel, but he knew what he would face when he crossed the wall. Knew he'd likely find trouble. And the others understand the terms of the treaty, too, even if they might resent your presence here, thanks to the mercy of our master. So keep your head down, and none of them will bother you. Though Lucian, he could do with someone snapping at him, if you've the courage for it." I didn't, and when I went to ask more about whom I should try to avoid, she had already finished my hair and opened the door to the hall. Cool. So She's not very well received. We love this beginning. Welcome, Kimchi127. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Crossroads Tavern. Oh my gosh. Who done it? Someone came in and said hi. Hi, Lord. Hi, Lexi. Hi, Chaka. Yeah, they always refer to blonde as golden or some shit. Thank you for your first time chat too. I hope you guys are enjoying the story so far. So, we're meeting more people. We're meeting more fairies or people with masks. I'm starting to get the idea that, like, what if, you know... Oh man, I don't know. I don't know yet, actually. How do we tell if they're fairy or human? We might have met some humans already or some shit. The streamer noticed me. I'm famous. Go. Be famous. I really like how you read. Really? Thank you. I'm flattered. Jad! Oh my gosh! Hello! Your local penguin! Wow, we have a penguin now! Welcome to the Crossroads! The timing of the music? Yeah, I'm so glad! I want to do some more music playing with reading, but it's a little difficult to, like, read and play music. But I feel like I have a good sense now. I could just read a couple of words and line up my things. I feel like we're still in the building, in the estate, which is described to be in a spring-like forest. So we'll keep on with the ambiance. But how you doing, Jad? I'm so sorry. Do I call you Jad here? How are you enjoying? It's really nice. I cried, actually. I cried at the end of chapter 4 when she had to, like, talk to her dad about, like, all the things he needs to be aware of. You can call me whatever you like, my love. All right, my love. Hello, Jad. Yeah, I feel so silly. I don't know why I cried. I knew it was gonna happen. The whole, like, Cinderella setup, or, like, the shitty family setup. Is this the first book in the series? Yes, Kimchi! This is the first book of A Court of Thorns and Roses. The next... on YouTube, I have the Goodreads link. Let me bring that over to Twitch in case you guys want to also check it out. Boop, 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 boop. So yeah, my consistency in characterization will definitely become stronger as we meet the characters. I do like using the softer voice for Elise, but I do think she's got kind of like a snap to her. I kind of think of my sister, so I want to give her a little bit more edge. We must be Goodread buddies. I don't even know what Goodreads is. I just saw something like I need to reference the author somewhere so I can at least show my support. I need it to be very obvious that it's not just me reading out the book. I am also being creative in incorporating different arts. Yay! Yeah, she's got sass for sure. Yeah. So I made her sound really, really, like, fake with her really soft voice. So I actually might give her something more of a tone similar to my speaking voice, but just give her a little bit more, like, sass. Or, like, give her more of a vocal fry, like, oh my god. Or, no, I like her. I like her, though. Like, I don't hate her yet, so I don't want to give her any hateable qualities. I'm glad you're enjoying it so far. Ooh, as someone who does know the story, I'm really nervous in, like, misrepresenting any of the characters, so don't hate me, okay? I'll do my best. It's also unfortunate that, like, I feel like the main character, like, Farah, is just really, really serious, and I'm just kind of goofy. So she's, like, having these moments to herself, and I'm just like, are you gonna do more of this kind of reading? Yes, Kimchi! I like to take some time after each chapter to, like, just kind of chat a little. But I will probably go on ahead and take a small break and refill my water because my voice is getting a little tired. She gets less serious, to be fair. Don't spoil me! Don't spoil me! Don't tell me anything. If you tell me anything ever again, Jan, I'm gonna cry. Okay, one moment, everyone. I'm gonna get some water, and we will continue on with chapter 7. I do think this is our last 2 chapters before I probably move on. Oh, yeah. Man, this book's pretty fucking huge. Did I tell you guys I'm going on a break? So, this is gonna be a really unfortunate thing to do. But we're gonna try reading 2 more chapters, and then for the entire month of March, I'll be only doing small talks. So this is a nice little experiment. So I will read this again, but this will probably be the last stream for a while. So, oh man, I'm so happy to know how many people have enjoyed it. So truly, truly thank you. I will gladly do more because it's been so much fun. Okay. So, let me go get some water. I'll be right back. let me do my best to do a little wrap up because I'd love to summarize for you. Kimchi. Let's see. So this story is what people call romantasy, and so this is a romantic fantasy novel, and we are learning the story of Farah, who is the daughter of a fallen rich family. And she's taken it upon herself because she promised her dying mother to like keep her family alive, whatever it takes. So she's learned things like hunting, haggling, bartering, all sorts of cool survivalist skills that has hardened her view of life because her entire race had been once enslaved by the Fae folk, who have isolated themselves beyond a wall into the land called Perithian. For reasons we don't know, the wall exists. So yeah, Farah, who was out on one of her hunts, comes across a wolf that is feasting on a doe that she was going to kill. And she sees that this giant-ass wolf could not only get her a nice bang for her buck, but could also feed her family and shit. So she's like, I'ma kill this wolf. But then she hesitates, because then she starts realizing, oh yeah, the ancient race that once enslaved my people were once shapeshifters, and this could be one of those people, and there'd be some massive circumstances of killing this being if they were, in fact, the fairies. But who cares? Fuck it, I'm just gonna kill this wolf anyway. So she kills the wolf, skins it, sells the skin, and then she gets chased down by this big bad wolf. He comes crashing down her nice family dinner and goes, hey, I heard you killed someone. You either die or you come live out the rest of your day with the fairies. And she was going to fight for her life, but her dad told her, go live with the fairies and don't look back. And she was kind of like, Dad, what the fuck? I'm kind of like fighting for you here. And he's like, nah, leave and don't look back because you deserve better. Or some shit. Man, I cried. Okay? I don't know why I cried at that part, but hearing her talk to her dad was so painful. Okay. Thank you for... I didn't notice you gifted to someone. Thank you for gifting to... Thank you, Cindy, for gifting to Seer. Are Fae weird tricksty like in D&D? I have no idea. So far, the abilities of Fae are that they have some shape-shifting abilities, they have magic, and they can control the weather. I'm gonna get that book. Oh, yippee! I hope you do. All right. I hope I did a good catch-up. So she chose to go with the guy instead of dying at his hand. So here she is plotting her escape now that she's arrived at the merciful High Fae. I just think it's gonna be so funny if after all of this assumption, like obviously she's thinking the worst of everything and everyone, and everyone's just like really chill and normal, and she's like, dude, I don't know, there's just like some misunderstandings going on, but I don't know. I'm a little curious on what's gonna happen, so let's get back into it, yeah? I'm not sensitive. I'm just a little immersed, okay? Just a little immersed. Oh, ads are starting in 5 minutes. I'm so sorry. Okay, I'll try my best. Like, pause the music. Ba, 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 ba. The golden-haired High Fae and Lucian were lounging at the table when Alyss returned me to the dining room. They no longer had plates before them, but still sipped from golden goblets. Real gold, not paint or foil. Our mismatched cutlery flashed through my mind as I paused in the middle of the room. Such wealth! Such staggering wealth! When we had nothing! A half-wild beast, Nesta had called me. But compared to him, compared to this place, compared to the elegant, easy way they held their goblets, The way the golden-haired one had called me human. We were all half-wild beasts to the high fae, even if they were the ones who could don fur and claws. Food still remained on the table, the array of spices lingering in the air, beckoning. I was starving, my head unnervingly light. The golden-haired high fae's mask gleamed with the last rays of the afternoon sunshine. Before you ask again, the food is safe for you to eat. He pointed to the chair at the other end of the table. No sign of his claws. When I didn't move, he sighed sharply. What do you want then? I said nothing. To eat, flee, save my family? Lucian drawled from his seat along the length of the table. I told you so, Tamlin. He flicked a glance toward his friend. Your skills with females have definitely become rusty in recent decades. Tamlin. Oh my god, why are these names so weird? How do I say this, guys? Tomlin? Tom? I'm thinking of like Thomas. Tomlin. I'm gonna say Tamlin because it sounds a little less white. Or at least like a little less human. Tamlin didn't look much older than me, but his kind was immortal. He could be hundreds of years old, thousands. My mouth dried up as I carefully studied their strange, masked faces. Unearthly, primal, and imperious, like immovable gods or feral courtiers. Well, Lucian said, his remaining russet eye fixed on me. Well, you don't look half as bad now. A relief, I suppose, since you're to live with us. Though the tunic isn't as pretty as a dress. Wolves ready to pounce. That's what they were, just like their friend. I was all too aware of my diction, of the very breath I took as I said, I'd prefer not to wear that dress. And why not? Lucian crooned. It was Tamlin who answered for me. Because killing us is easier in pants. I felt my face turn blank. Willed my heart to calm as I said, now that I'm here, what do you plan to do with me? Lucian snorted, but Tamlin said with a snarl of annoyance, just sit down. An empty seat had been pulled out at the end of the table. So many foods, piping hot and wafting those enticing spices. The servants had probably brought out new food while I'd washed. So much wasted. I clenched my hands into fists. We're not going to bite. Lucian's white teeth gleamed in a way that suggested otherwise. I avoided his gaze, avoided that strange, animated metal eye that focused on me as I inched to my seat and sat down. Tamlin rose, stalking around the table, closer and closer, each movement smooth and lethal, a predator blooded with power. It was an effort to keep still, especially as he picked up a dish, brought it over to me, and piled some meat and sauce on my plate. I said quietly, I can serve myself. Anything to keep him well away from me. Tamlin paused, so close that one swipe of those claws lurking under his skin could rip my throat out. That was why the leather baldric bore no weapons. Why use them when you were a weapon yourself? It's an honor for a human to be served by a high fae, he said roughly. I swallowed hard. He continued piling various foods on my plate, stopping only when it was heaping with meat and sauce and bread, and then filled my glass with pale, sparkling wine. I loosed a breath as he prowled back to his seat, though he could probably hear it. I wanted nothing more than to bury my face in the plate and then eat my way down the table. To Tomlin. Eat my way down the table. Fuck, I lost my place. but I pinned my hands beneath my thighs and stared at the two fairies. They watched me, too closely to be casual. Tamlin straightened a bit and said, "You look better than before." Was that a compliment? I could have sworn Lucian gave Tamlin an encouraging nod. "And your hair is clean." What is going on right now? What is this? Perhaps it was my raging hunger making me hallucinate this piss-poor attempt at flattery. Still, I leaned back and kept my words calm and quiet, the way I might speak to any other predator. "You're high, Fae. Fairy nobility." Lucian coughed and looked at Tamlin. "You take that question." "Yes," Tamlin said, frowning, as if searching for anything to say to me. He settled on merely, "We are." Fine. A man. Fairy. A few words. I'd killed his friend. Was an unwanted guest. I wouldn't want to talk to me either. "What do you plan to do with me now that I'm here?" Tamlin's eyes didn't leave my face. "Nothing. Do whatever you want." "So I'm not your slave?" I dared ask. Lucian choked on his wine, but Tamlin didn't smile. "I don't keep slaves." I ignored the release of tightness in my chest at that. What am I to do with my life here?" I pressed. Do you wish me to earn my keep? To work?" A stupid question, if he hadn't considered it, but I had to know. Tamlin stiffened. "What you do with your life isn't my problem." Lucian pointedly cleared his throat, and Tamlin flashed him a glare. After an exchanged look I couldn't read, Tamlin sighed and said, "Don't you have any interests?" No. Not entirely true, but I wasn't about to explain the painting to him, not when he was apparently having a great deal of trouble just talking to me civilly. Lucian muttered, "So typically human." Tamlin's mouth quirked to the side. "Do whatever you want with your time, just stay out of trouble." "So you truly mean for me to just stay here forever?" What I meant was, so I'm just to stay in this luxury while my family starves to death? "I didn't make the rules," Tamlin said tersely. I don't know what tersely means. "My family is starving," I said. I didn't mind begging. Not for this. I'd given my word and held to that word for as long that I was nothing and no one without it. For so long that I was nothing and no one without it. Please let me go. There must be some other loophole out of the treaty's rules, some other way to atone. Atone? Lucian said. Have you even apologized yet? Apparently, all attempts to flatter me were dead and gone, so I looked Lucian right in his remaining eye and said, I'm sorry. Lucian backed in his chair. How did you kill him? Was it a bloody fight or just cold-blooded murder? My spine stiffened. I shot him with an ash arrow, and then an ordinary arrow through the eye. He didn't put up a fight. After the first shot, he just stared at me. Yet you killed him anyway, though he made no move to attack you. And then you skinned him? Lucian hissed. Enough, Lucian, Tamlin said to his courtier with a snarl. I don't want to hear details. He turned to me, ancient and brutal and unyielding. I spoke before you could say anything. My family won't last a month without me. Lucian chuckled, and I gritted my teeth. Do you know what it's like to be hungry? I demanded, anger rising to devour any common sense. Do you know what it's like to not know when your next meal will be? Tamlin's jaw tightened. Your family's alive and well cared for. You think so low of fairies that you believe I'd take their only source of income and nourishment and not replace it? I straightened. You swear it? Even if fairies couldn't lie, I had to hear it. A low, incredulous laugh. On everything that I am and possess. Why not tell me that when we left the cottage? Would you have believed me? Would you even believe me now? Tamlin's claws embedded in the arms of his chair. Why should I trust a word you say? You're all masters of spinning your truths to your own advantage. Some would say it's unwise to insult a fae in his home, Tamlin ground out. Some would say you should be grateful for me finding you before another one of my kind came to claim the debt, for sparing your life, and then offering you the chance to live in comfort. I shot to my feet, wisdom be damned, and was about to kick back my chair when invisible hands clapped on my arms and shoved me back into my seat. Do not do whatever it is you are contemplating, Tamlin said. I went still as a tang of magic seared my nose. I tried to twist in the chair, testing the invisible bonds, but my arms were secured. My back was pressed into the wood so hard that it ached. I glanced at the knife beside my plate. I should have gone for it first. Futile effort or no. I'm going to warn you once, Tamlin said, too softly. Oops. Only once. And then it's on you, human. I don't care if you go live somewhere else in Prythian, but if you cross the wall, if you flee, your family will no longer be cared for. His words were like stone to my head. If I escaped, if I even tried to run, I might very well doom my family. And even if I dared risk it, even if I succeeded in reaching them, where would I take them? I couldn't stow my sisters away on a ship. And once we arrived somewhere else, somewhere safe, we'd have nowhere to live. But for him to hold my family's well-being against me, to throw their survival if I stepped out of line? I opened my mouth, but his snarl rattled the glasses. Is that not a fair bargain? And if you flee, then you might not be so lucky with whoever comes to retrieve you next. His claws slipped back under his knuckles. The food is not enchanted or drugged, and it will be your own damn fault if you faint. So if you're going to sit at this table and eat, Farah, and Lucian will do his best to be polite. He threw a pointed look in his direction. Lucian shrugged. The invisible bonds loosened, and I winced as I whacked my hands under the underside of the table. The bonds of my legs and middle remained intact. One glance at Tamlin's smoldering green eyes told me what I wanted to know. His guest or not, I wasn't going to get up from this table until I had eaten something. I'd think about the sudden change in my plans to escape later. For now, I eyed the silver fork and carefully picked it up. They still watched me, watched my every move, the flare of my nostrils as I sniffed the food on my plate. No metallic stench of magic. Fairies couldn't lie. So he had to be right about the food then. Stabbing a piece of chicken, I took a bite. It was an effort to keep from grunting. I hadn't had food this good in years. Even the meals we'd had before our downfall were little more than ashes compared to this. I ate my entire plate in silence, too aware of the high fae observing every bite. But as I reached for a second helping of chocolate torte, the food vanished. Just vanished. As if it had never existed, not a crumb left behind. Swallowing hard, I set my fork down so they wouldn't see my hand start to shake. One more bite and you'll hurl your guts up, Tamlin said, drinking deeply from his goblet. The bonds holding me loosened. Silent permission to leave. Thank you for the meal, I said. It was all I could think of. Won't you stay for wine? Lucian said with sweet venom from where he lounged in his seat. I braced my hands on my chair to rise. I'm tired. I'd like to sleep. It's been a few decades since I saw... Oh. It's It's been a few decades since I last saw one of you, Lucian drawled. But you humans never change, so I don't think I'm wrong in asking why you find our company to be so unpleasant, when surely the men back home aren't much to look at. At the other end of the table, Tamlin gave his emissary a long warning look. Lucian ignored it. "You're high fae," I said tightly. "I'd ask why you'd even bother inviting me here at all, or dining with me." Fool, I really should have been killed 10 times over already. Ah! Lucian said, "True, but indulge me. You're a human woman, and yet you'd rather eat hot coals than sit here longer than necessary." Ignoring this, he waved a hand at the metal eye and brutal scar on his face. "Surely we're not so miserable to look at." Typical fairy vanity and arrogance. That, at least, the legends had been right about. I tucked the knowledge away. Unless you have someone back home, unless you have someone back home, unless there's a line of suitors out the door your hovel that makes us seem like worms in comparison. There was enough dismissal there that I took a little bit of satisfaction in saying, I was close with a man back in my village. Before that treaty ripped me away, before it became clear that you are allowed to do as you please to us, but we can hardly strike back. Tamlin and Lucian exchanged glances, but it was Tamlin who said, "Are you in love with this man?" "No," I said as casually as I could. It wasn't a lie, but even if I'd felt anything like that for Isaac, my answer would have been the same. It was bad enough that High Fae now knew my family existed. I didn't need to add Isaac to that list. Again, that shared look between the two males. "And do you love anyone else?" Tamlin said through clenched teeth. "What is this question?" A laugh burst out of me, tinged with hysteria. "No," I looked between them. "Nonsense! These lethal immortal beings really had nothing better to do than this? Is this really what you care to know about me? If I find you more handsome than human men, and if I have a man back home, why bother to ask at all, when I'll be stuck here for the rest of my life?" A hot line of anger sliced through my senses. "We wanted to learn more about you, since you'll be here for a good while," Tamlin said, his lips a thin line. "But Lucian's pride tends to get in the way of his manners." He sighed, as if ready to be done with me, and said, "Go rest. We're both busy most days, so if you need anything, ask the staff. They'll help you." "Why?" I asked. "Why be so generous?" Lucian gave me a look that suggested he had no idea either, given that I'd murdered their companion, but Tamlin stared at me for a long moment. "I kill too often as it is," Tamlin said finally, shrugging his broad shoulders. "And you're insignificant enough to not ruffle this estate, unless you decide to start killing us." A faint warmth bloomed in my cheeks, my neck. Insignificant? Yes, I was insignificant to their lives, their power. As insignificant as the fading chip designs I painted around the cottage. "Well," I said, not quite feeling grateful at all. "Thank you." He gave a distant nod and motioned for me to leave. Dismissed. Like the lowly human I was, Lucian propped his chin on a fist and gave me a lazy half-smile. Enough. I got to my feet and back toward the door. Putting my back to them would have been like walking away from a wolf, sparing my life or no. They said nothing when I slipped out the door. A moment later, Lucian's barking laugh echoed into the halls, followed by a sharp, vicious growl that shut him up. I slept fitfully that night, and the lock on my bedroom door felt more like a joke than anything. I was wide awake before dawn. But I remained staring at the filigreed ceiling. I don't know what that word means. Watching the growing light creep between the drapes, savoring the softness of the down mattress. I was usually out of the cottage by first light, though my sisters hissed at me every morning for waking them so early. If I were home, I'd already be entering the woods, not wasting a moment of precious sunlight, listening to the drowsy chatter of the few winter birds. Instead, this bedroom and the house beyond were silent. The enormous bed, foreign and empty. A small part of me missed the warmth of my sisters' bodies overlapping with mine. Nesta must be stretching her legs and smiling at the extra room. She was probably content imagining me in the belly of a fairy. Probably using the news as a chance to be fussed over by the villagers. Maybe my fate would prompt them to give my family some handouts. Or maybe Tamlin had given them enough money, more food, or whatever he thought taking care of them consisted of to last through the winter. Or maybe the villagers would turn on my family, not wanting to be associated with people tied with Prithian and run them out of town. I buried my face in the pillow, pulling the blankets higher. If Tamlin had indeed provided for them, if those benefits would cease the moment I crossed the wall, then they'd likely resent my return more than celebrate it. Your hair is clean. A pathetic compliment. I suppose that if he'd invited me to live here, to spare my life, he couldn't be completely wicked. Perhaps he'd just been trying to smooth over our very, very rough beginning. Maybe there would be some way to persuade him to find some loophole. To get whatever magic that bound the treaty to spare me, and if not some way, then someone. I was drifting from one thought to another, trying to sort through the jumble, when the lock on the door clicked, and there was a screech and a thud, and I bolted upright to find Alyssa in a heap on the floor. The length of the rope I'd made from the curtain trimmings now hung loosely from where I'd rigged it to snap into anyone's face. It had been the best I could with what I had. I'm sorry, I blurted, leaping from the bed, but Alyssa was already up, hissing at me as she brushed up off her apron. She frowned at the rope dangling from the light fixture. What in the bottomless depths of the cauldron is... I didn't think anyone would be in here so early, and I meant to take it down, and Alyssa looked me over from head to toe. You think a bit of rope snapping in my face will keep me from breaking your bones? My blood went cold. You think that will do anything against one of us? I might have kept apologizing were it not for the sneer she gave me. I crossed my arms. It was a warning bell to give me time to run, not a trap. She seemed poised to spit on me, but then her sharp brown eyes narrowed. You can't outrun us either, girl. I know, I said, my heart calming at last. But at least I wouldn't face my death unaware. Alyssa barked out a laugh. My master gave his word that you could live here. Live, not die. We will obey. She studied the hanging bit of rope. But did you have to wreck those lovely curtains? I didn't want to. Well, tried not to. But a hint of a smile tugged on my lips. Alyssa strode over to the remnants of the curtains and threw them open, revealing a sky that had still a deep periwinkle, splashed with a few hues of pumpkin and magenta from the rising dawn. I am sorry, I said again. Alyssa clicked her tongue. At least you're willing to put up a fight, girl, I'll give you that. I opened my mouth to speak, but another female servant with a bird mask entered, a breakfast tray in hand. She bid me a curt good morning, set the tray on a small table by the window, and disappeared into the attached bathing chamber. The sound of running water filled the room. I sat at the table and studied the porridge and eggs and bacon. Bacon. again! Such similar food to what we ate across the wall? I don't know why I'd expected otherwise. Alice poured a cup of what looked and smelled like tea. Full-bodied, aromatic tea, no doubt. Imported at great expense. Perithian and my adjoining homeland weren't exactly easy to reach. What is this place? I asked her quietly. Where is this place? It's safe, and that's all you need to know, Alice said, setting down the teapot. At least the house is. If you go poking around the grounds, keep your wits about you. Fine. If she wouldn't answer that, I tried again. What sort of fairies should I look out for? All of them, Alice said. My master's protection only goes so far. They'll want to hunt and kill you for just being a human, regardless of what you did to Andros. Another useless answer. I dug into my breakfast, savoring each rich sip of tea, and she slipped into the bathing chamber. When I was done eating and bathing, I refused Alice's offer and dressed myself in another exquisite tunic, this one of purple so deep it could have been black. I wish I knew the name of the color, but cataloged it anyway. I pulled on the brown boots I'd worn the night before, and as I sat before a marble vanity letting Alice braid my wet hair, I cringed at my reflection. It wasn't pleasing, though, for not its actual appearance. While my nose was relatively straight, it was the other feature I had inherited from my mother. I could still remember how her nose would crinkle with feigned amusement when one of her fabulously wealthy friends made some unfunny joke. At least I had my father's soft mouth, though it made a mockery of my too sharp cheekbones and hollow cheeks. I couldn't bring myself to look at my slightly up-tilted eyes. I knew I'd seen Nesta or my mother looking back at me. I'd sometimes wondered if that was why my sister had insulted me about my looks. I was a far cry from ugly, but I bore too much of the people we'd hated and loved for Nesta to stand it. For me to stand it too. Though I suppose that for Tamlin, the High Fae used to ethereal, flawless beauty, it had been a struggle to find a compliment. Fairy bastard. Alice finished my plate, and I jumped from the bench before she could weave in little flowers in the basket she brought. I would have lived up to my namesake were it for not the effects of poverty, but I'd never particularly cared. Beauty didn't mean anything in the forest. When I asked Alice what I was to do now, what I was to do with the entirety of my mortal life, she shrugged and suggested a walk in the gardens. I almost laughed, but I kept my tongue still. I'd be foolish to push aside potential allies. And I doubted she had Tamlin's ear. And I doubted she had Tamlin's ear, and I couldn't press her about it yet. But at least a walk provided a chance to glean some sense of my surroundings, and whether there was anyone else who might plead my case to Tamlin. The halls were empty and silent. Strange for such a large estate. They mentioned others the night before, but I saw and heard no sign of them. A balmy breeze scented with hyacinth, I realized. Oh, if only from Elaine's small garden. Oh, wait. Oh, okay. A balmy breeze scented with hyacinth, I realized. If only from Elaine's small garden, floated down the halls, carrying with it the pleasant chirping of a bunting, a bird I wouldn't hear back home for months, if I ever heard them at all. I was almost to the grand staircase when I noticed the paintings. I hadn't let myself really look yesterday, but now, in the empty hall, with no one to see me, a flash of color amid a shadowy, gloomy background made me stop. A riot of color and texture that compelled me to face the gilded frame. I'd never seen anything like it. It's just a still life, a part of me said. And it was. A green glass vase with an assortment of flowers drooping over its narrow top. Blossoms and leaves of every shape and size and color. Roses, tulips, morning glory, goldenrod, maiden's lace panties. The skill it must have taken to make them look so lifelike, to make them more than lifelike. Just a vase of flowers against a dark background, but more than that, the flowers seemed to be vibrant with their own light, as if in defiance of the shadows gathered around them. The mastery needed to make the glass vase hold that light, to bend the light with the water within, as if the vase did indeed have weight to have it atop its stone pedestal. Remarkable. I could have stared at it for hours, and the countless paintings along this hall alone could have occupied my entire day. But garden, plants. Still, as I moved on, I couldn't deny that this place was far more civilized than I had thought. Peaceful even, if I was willing to admit it. And if the high fae were indeed gentler than human legend and rumor had led me to believe, then maybe convincing Alyss of my misery might not be too hard. If I could win over Alyss, convince her that the treaty had been wrong to demand such payment from me, she might indeed see if there was anything to get me out of this dead end. You, someone said, and I jumped back a step. In the light of the open glass doors to the garden, a towering male figure stood, silhouetted before me. Tamlin. He wore those warrior's clothes, cut too close to show off his toned body, and 3 simple knives were now sheathed along his baldric, each long enough to look like it could gut me as easily as his beast's claws. His blonde hair had been tied back from his face, revealing those pointed ears and that strange, beautiful mask. "Where are you going?" he said, gruffly enough that it almost sounded like a demand. You. I wonder if he even remembered my name. He called out your name, girl. What the heck? It took a moment to will enough strength into my legs to arise from my half crouch. "Good morning." Wait, good morning? "Ah," I said flatly. At least it was a better greeting than you. "You said my time was to be spent however I wanted. I didn't realize I was under house arrest." His jaw tightened. Of course you're not under house arrest. Even as he bit out the words, I couldn't ignore the sheer male beauty of that strong jaw. The richness of his gold-tanned skin. He was probably handsome, if he ever took off that mask. When he realized that I wasn't going to respond, he bared his teeth in what I suppose was an attempt at a smile. "Do you want a tour?" "No, thank you," I managed to get out, conscious of every awkward motion of my body as I edged around him. He stepped into my path, close enough that he conceded a step back. "I've been sitting inside all morning. I need some fresh air." "And you're insignificant enough that you wouldn't be a bother," she thought to herself. That was my own interjection. "I'm fine," I said, casually dodging him. "You've been generous enough." I tried to sound like I mean it. A half smile, not so pleasant. No doubt, unused to being denied. Do you have some sort of problem with me?" "No," I said quietly and walked through the doors. He let out a low snarl. "I'm not going to kill you, Farah. I don't break my promises." I almost stumbled down the garden steps as I glanced over my shoulder. He stood atop the stairs, as solid and ancient as the pale stones of the manor. Kill, but not harm? Is that another loophole? One that Lucian might use against me, or anyone else here? They're under orders not even to touch you. Yet I'm still trapped in your realm, for breaking a rule I didn't know existed. Why was your friend even in the woods that day? I thought the treaty banned your kind from entering our lands. He just stared at me. Perhaps I'd gone too far, questioned him too much. Perhaps he could tell why I really'd ask. "That treaty," he said quietly. doesn't ban us from doing anything, except for enslaving you. The wall is an inconvenience. If we cared to, we could shatter it and march through to kill you all. Kill you all. Making him sound a little... I might be forced to live in Prithian forever, but my family? I dared ask. And do you care to destroy the wall? He looked me up and down, as if deciding whether I was worth the effort of explaining. I have no interest in the mortal lands, though I can't speak for my kind. But he still hadn't answered my question. Then what was your friend doing there? Tamlin stilled. Such unearthly primal grace, even to his breathing. There is a sickness in these lands. Across Prithian, there has been almost 50 years now. It is why this house and these lands are so empty. Most have left. The blight spreads slowly, but has made magic act strangely. My own powers are diminished due to it. These masks, he tapped on his, are the result of a surge of it that occurred during a masquerade 49 years ago. Even now, we can't remove them. Stuck in masks? For nearly 50 years, I would have gone mad. Would have peeled my skin off my face. You didn't have a mask as a beast, and neither did your friend. The blight is cruel like that. Either live as a beast or live with the mask. What sort of sickness is it? It's not a disease, not a plague or illness. It's focused solely on magic, on those dwelling in Prithian. Andros was across the wall that day because I sent him to search for a cure. Can it hurt humans? My stomach twisted. Will it spread over the wall? Yes, he said. There is a chance of it affecting mortals and your territory. More than that, I don't know. It's slow-moving, and your kind is safe for now. We haven't had any progression in decades. Magic seems to have stabilized, even though it's been weakened. That he'd even admitted so much spoke volumes about how he imagined my future. I was never going home, never going to encounter another human to whom I might spill the secret vulnerability. A mercenary told me she believed fairies might be thinking of attacking. Is it related? A hint of a smile, perhaps a bit surprised. I don't know. Do you talk to mercenaries often? I talk to whoever bothers to tell me anything useful. He straightened, and it was only his promise not to kill me that kept me from cringing. Then he rolled his shoulders, as if shaking off his annoyance. Was it tripwire you rigged in your room for me? I sucked on my teeth. Can you blame me if it was? I might take an animal form, but I am civilized, Farah. So he did remember my name. He said it twice, at least. But I looked pointedly at his hands, at the razor-sharp tips of those curved claws poking through his tanned skin. Noticing my stare, he tucked his hands behind his back. He said sharply, "I'll see you at dinner." It wasn't a request, but I still gave him a nod as I strode off between the hedges, not caring where I was going, only that he stayed far behind. A sickness in their lands, affecting their magic, draining it from them? A magical blight that might one day spread to the human world? After so many centuries without magic, we'd been defenseless against it, against whatever it could do to humans. I wondered if any of the High Fae would bother warning my kind. Didn't take me long to know the answer. Boop! End of chapter 7! We are at 2 hours. I do think I'm gonna go now. Whoa! What the fuck? I will probably... Oh man. I want to read this while I'm on my break. But you guys hate me? Would that be atrocious? If you guys like the book, go buy the book or some shit. I feel like I'll just read this on my own, but if you guys want to, I will probably go find another book to read. And so with that, what do I even say after all of that? That was a cliffhanger. That was a cliffhanger. How do I move on? Okay. I'm on free rate now though. This is my. I'm gonna go on and read, and you guys get to just hear about it from beyond the wall. Thank you again, Chad, for the recommendation. I can't wait to read more. Here are your raid messages, but first, let me go on ahead and see what do you guys think so far. What are some predictions you guys might have for people who are following along? I really feel like this story has so much politics coded into it. With the 7 High Lords, and oh boy, look at this guy being one of the noblemen. So there's gonna be some kind of like royalty, like, oh my god, this human is no good for your royal self. Tomlin. Obviously, she's going to be the cure, and they're going to get sweaty. Yes. I do think that's what Andres went to go find, the cure, and boom, that's the cure. She's the cure. Oh man, I really hope they have some nice moments. I have so many predictions. Do you want this? Stop, Jad! You can't tell me that when you fully read the book already. Dork. Do. Oh my gosh, this is so silly. Migo, you tried to talk to me about my title. Thank you. Ooh, yes, I see what you are trying to say now. Yes, Cindy, I got you. Collections will now be a tag in this, in the Traveler Logs. That's so cool. So excited to see what you got. You are so cute. Giggle. I did giggle a little. Seeing that poor attempt of flirting was like, oh, I wanted to fuck. Not really. Not yet. They don't deserve it yet. I haven't seen any, like, oh, they make some good chemistry. Because right now they've just been like, well, she's been just really terrified. Rick Seger followed again. That is definitely a bot, right? That is like the 4th time this account has followed. What is this account doing? I have not. Thank you, Bobby Bread Shower, for the follow. Welcome to the Crossroads. I'm so sorry. I was not keeping up with follows while I was reading. So thank you guys for following. Not only you, but also Kimchi and Penguin. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Okay. Who's on? Who is on? Okay, so I've been getting closer to Seer's community as well as like Seer, and I know someone that Seer is friends with is live right now. His name is Crazy Madman. I would love to get to know this guy more too because he has a cool voice. Bach, welcome! Harry Art's 6th ever stream. Ooh, thank you. I will go peek at them. I hope you're having a good day, good week so far, Bach. A good day, a start to your week. Right now he is playing BioShock. I feel like I have a lot of friends I grew up with that absolutely love this game. I also know, like, Grimsley is in love with these kinds of games, so I'm sure if I play this one day, he would love that. Or just most RPG games I hear are really interesting. Just want you to see Eerie. She's so... Thank you, thank you! Let me go. Hold on. Why is one of his tags Freudian? Sure, what have you said? Airy art. Oh my god, cute! This is such a cute VTuber! Oh my god, this is one of the cutest VTubers I've ever fucking seen! She's a frog! She has frogs. I don't know if she's a frog. She does not look like a frog. Oh, God bless Bach. Doing God's work as always. Okay, anyway, yes, here are your raid messages! Sorry for getting distracted. I will send you guys over to a flesh tuber. This is not a VTuber. He's a flesh tuber playing BioShock. Alright guys, thank you guys! Bye-bye! I'll see you guys! Okay, wait, pause. Hold. Since I will be technically going on a stream break minus small talks next month, I'll try to do a lot more random streams this week. So, though my next stream is projected to not be until Saturday, or was it Friday? Friday! Though my next stream is not projected to be until Friday, I might do some karaoke's or art streams or work streams, but just for this week. Because I feel bad for leaving you guys. Not really. Just kidding. Fuck you guys. Okay, bye!